Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. If you're a focused learner looking to really wrap your head around how modern, large-scale systems actually operate under the hood, well, you're in exactly the right place. For years, software was built primarily on this really simple request and response model. A user clicks a button, the server returns a response, the database stores the result, and that's kind of the whole shebang. But today, we're going to move far beyond that traditional model and unpack the architecture that actually powers the real-time web.
Think about the apps you use literally every single day. When someone logs in from a highly suspicious location, the system can't just sit around and wait for a nightly batch job to flag it. It needs real-time fraud detection right then and there. When a stock price fluctuates or a massive corporate dashboard needs live updates, getting daily or even hourly refreshes just doesn't cut it anymore. The modern world demands instant reactions, and actually delivering that, it requires a fundamental shift in how we handle our data.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today to deconstruct both the high-level theory and the low-level practicalities of this architecture. First, we'll look at the real-time shift. Then, the anatomy of event streams. Third, platforms and processing. Fourth, designing for reliability. And finally, number 5, escaping the distributed mess. All right, starting things off with Section 1, the real-time shift.
So to really get this architecture, we have to start with its absolute foundational building block. And it's crucial here to distinguish between a command and an event. A command is simply an instruction asking the system to do something, right? Like create order or send email. But an event is an immutable historical fact. It literally says something has already happened, like order created or email sent. Events are so powerful because they represent actual business facts that multiple other parts of your system can react to, and they can do it completely independently.
Now, you might already be familiar with traditional message queues, which, don't get me wrong, are fantastic for task execution. They're great for distributing work, like processing an image upload, and then just removing the message once the job is done. But event streaming is a totally different beast. It provides a continuously growing log of history. Events aren't just deleted once they're read, they stay there in a continuous flow, which allows multiple consumers to read that exact same history independently. Basically, queues say, hey, do this work. Streams say, this happened, and you know what? A lot of different systems might care about it.
Moving right along to Section 2, Anatomy of Event Streams. If you think about traditional databases as the memory of an application, well, event streams are its central nervous system. And this brilliantly illustrates the journey of just a single piece of data through that system. First up, a producer, let's say it's a payment service, publishes a fact. This event then enters a name stream called a topic, which essentially groups related events together. Inside that topic, the event is saved to a partition, which is what allows for parallel processing. And finally, the event gets read by one or more consumer groups. And these are the systems that actually do the work, like sending you a receipt or updating a dashboard.
So here's where it gets really interesting. How do we handle order at scale? Partitions exist to divide topics up so we can process massive amounts of data in parallel. But here is the trick. Global ordering across all those partitions, that is actually not guaranteed. If you absolutely need events to stay in strict order, for instance, if you're tracking a specific student's progress through an online course, you have to use a consistent message key, like their specific learner ID. That ensures all events for that one learner go to the exact same partition, which preserves their sequence perfectly.
Just imagine the sheer one-to-many power of this architecture. Let's take an online learning platform like Uplatz, for example. When a user finishes a class, the system publishes a single, simple course completed event, and then, instantly, an analytics group updates the completion metrics, a notification group shoots off an email with a certificate, a recommendation group figures out the next best class to suggest, and fraud detection verifies the whole activity. The original course service doesn't need to talk to any of these systems directly. It just publishes the fact and everyone else reacts. It's like a giant domino effect.
But of course, with great power comes the absolute necessity for monitoring. Specifically, we've got to keep a close eye on something called consumer lag. This happens when a consumer group starts falling behind in processing recent events. Now, the real beauty of this completely decoupled architecture is the isolation. If your analytics group hits a bottleneck and its lag starts spiking, your notification group is totally unaffected. It'll just keep humming along, reading from the stream, and firing off emails right on schedule.
All right, let's jump to Section 3, Platforms and Stream Processing.
So, we've mapped out the central nervous system. Now let's talk about the brains and muscles powering the whole operation, the heavy lifters of the streaming world. You've got platforms like Apache Kafka, Apache Pulsar, AWS Kinesis, Red Panda, and Google Pub Sub. Kafka and Pulsar are obviously massive players here, built to handle incredibly high-throughput, durable logs. But keep in mind,
The specific vendor you end up choosing is honestly way less important than mastering the underlying engineering concepts. Events, topics, consumer groups, these are universal truths, regardless of which company's logo is stamped on your server.
Once you actually have these streams flowing, you apply stream processing. And this is a real game changer. It's all about turning raw event streams into live intelligence continuously, right as the events arrive. This completely replaces those old-school batch jobs. Because, let's be real, nobody wants to wait until tomorrow to find out if they lost money today. Instead of running some clunky script at midnight to count failed payments, stream processors, like Kafka Streams or Apache Flink, calculate rolling metrics on the fly. You can check your payment failures over a 10-minute sliding window, meaning your business intelligence is updating second by second.
Let's bring this down to earth and see how it builds a real-time dashboard. In a mature, well-designed architecture, the application publishes the events, the stream processor is constantly crunching and aggregating those metrics, and then it saves them into a highly optimized, fast data store. Finally, your dashboard API simply reads those pre-computed views. And guys, whatever you do, please do not force your dashboard to calculate complex metrics from raw events on every single page load. Seriously, that is a guaranteed recipe for painfully slow load times and absolutely massive cloud bills. Always pre-compute those views.
Next up, Section 4, Designing for Reliability.
If we want to make sure this massive, continuous flow of data doesn't just totally collapse under its own weight, we absolutely have to focus on the system's immunity. And that starts with event schemas. Think of a schema as a stripped, ironclad structural contract between your producers and your consumers. It defines the required fields, the data types, and the versions, usually using formats like JSON or Avro. If a producer carelessly tweaks a payload, like, say, renaming payment ID to transaction ID on a payment completed event without any schema governance, that is a surefire way to instantly break all the downstream consumers that rely on that exact data structure.
Now, what's really interesting here is the concept of event replay. Because event streams store historical logs, you essentially get your hands on a literal time machine. Think about it. If you discover a nasty bug in your analytics reporting from last week, you don't just patch the bug and hope for the best moving forward. No, you can reset your state and literally replay past events to perfectly rebuild accurate projections. Or, hey, if you're launching a brand new AI recommendation model today, you can feed it an entire year's worth of historical events to train it instantly. How cool is that?
But of course, reliability also means you absolutely must understand delivery guarantees. You've got at most once, which honestly risks data loss. You've got exactly once, which sounds great, but is incredibly complex to actually pull off. And then you have at least once, which is the standard for most of the industry. With at least once, your events won't get lost, but they might be duplicated. Because of this, it is absolutely critical to build idempotent consumers. If your notification system receives the same certificate-issued event twice, idempotency ensures it gracefully ignores the duplicate instead of spamming your user, because nobody likes getting the exact same email twice, right? Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, Escaping the Distributed Mess.
Event streaming is incredibly powerful, no doubt about it. But without discipline, man, it can quickly turn into a total nightmare to maintain. So let's do a rapid-fire rundown of the most common pitfalls. Do this. Use highly specific business facts like course completed. Do not do that. Avoid vague, lazy naming like data updated where nobody actually knows what changed. Definitely enforce schema governance and independency. Do not ignore consumer lag. And critically, whatever you do not carelessly expose sensitive personal data inside these broadly shared events.
And hey, you also have to be on high alert for the dreaded poison event. This is an event that contains bad data, or maybe it triggers a weird bug, causing processing to just fail over and over again. If a poison event gets stuck, it acts exactly like a roadblock. It blocks the entire partition and halts everything lined up behind it. So you must proactively configure retry policies and set up dead letter topics to gracefully siphon off these broken events. That way the rest of the stream can keep flowing safely without grinding your business to a halt.
So that brings us to the big final question. Is your architecture a highly reactive nervous system, or is it just a distributed mess? Look, event streaming has the power to totally decouple your services, enable instant live analytics, and allow your business to react to real-world facts the second they happen. But at the end of the day, the only difference between an elegant nervous system and a chaotic mess of undocumented messages is simple engineering discipline. So take these concepts, apply some strict governance, monitor those streams, and start reacting instantly. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.